Welcome to the No BS podcast, an unfiltered look into the global hospitality and short-term rental industry with a focus on founder stories, current events, and culture.
I'm Mateo Bradford Vasquez.
And I'm John Stokinger.
And this is our podcast. We bring the right people to the table at the right time, giving you an inside take on the hospitality industry like no other podcast can.
We appreciate your support. So let's make this official. Make sure to like, follow, and leave a review for the No BS Pod on your favorite podcast listening platforms.
And don't forget to check out our YouTube channel as well. While you're there, please like, listen, and subscribe. And oh yeah, make sure to hit the notification button to stay up to date on all of the exciting things that No BS Productions has coming up.
Good morning, Mateo. How are you?
Brother, I am fantastic. How are you?
I'm good. I'm really good. It's another week, episode 123. Just you and me today. That's exciting. I'm excited.
I like these days.
Yeah, it's been a little bit and there's a lot going on Monday.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about the VRMA Spring Forum. And so that's a couple of things I want to talk about here in the show and whatever else, obviously, you want to talk about. But episode 123, how you been?
Dude, good.
It's been a weekend.
Life's good, man. I have no complaints. Lots of good things brewing.
That's
Super
good.
exciting.
Can you back up? Can you back up just a little bit for those that are watching us on video so we can go ahead and just take a look at that shirt you're wearing? Nice. You can gotta get all right. That's all right. Fire.
Oh, it's so crazy. Yeah. Anyways.
For those of you that are just listening, you missed out.
Yeah.
We have a new No BS t-shirt that we're
designed by John. Matches my hat.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, talk about.
So seriously, all right, we're not just, so people don't feel beat up. We're not just talking about one conference. While we will talk about conferences that are going on, but we're talking about the broader scope of
the state of conferences.
ROI, the state of conferences. Are there too many? Are they enough? Are they reaching the right people? That's a little off the deep end, but very high level. I think it's valid. It's a valid question, right? The target, because again, it goes back to what I'm always saying, dude. It's awesome. You could put together the nicest conference with the best speakers, but if nobody shows up and you're not hitting your target audience, how long does that last?
Everything changed, right? I think after COVID, there was a huge uptick in attendance because people were cooped up for such a long time. And for the first year was like gangbusters. Everyone was showing up to the conferences. It was, for us on the vendor side of things, it was like, we could talk to all these people in person. It's amazing. A lot of things changed though since then. The cost of everything skyrocketed. The cost to attend and the cost to actually go and be a vendor, to attend for both sides as both a property manager and a vendor, doubled, tripled in just a couple of years. So when you're in my shoes and you are a vendor that's making decisions based on return of investment, based on ROI, and I'm like, all right, I could go, I can spend X amount of dollars, I can be in person, I can see these people. But for this to be a success, I need to have X amount of conversations and get a verbal close, if not a actual close, on 2 or 3 property managers that want to come over, or one if it's a smaller show and the cost is down. But now that the cost is so high and the margins are shrinking, you have to close more. You have to talk to more people. And for that to happen, you actually have to see people. And if property managers have made the decision that this is too expensive, or they've seen all this content before, or I could list like 100 different reasons why a property manager may choose to not attend a destination conference. And so when I say a destination conference, I'm talking about VRMA Spring Forum. It's in New Orleans, right? So why do you go? You go because there's going to be some good content and you're going to learn some stuff, and it's New Orleans, right? Yeah. So you're going to go let loose a little bit. You're going to have some fun, and you're going to meet your friends and colleagues, your family, your work family. And I hate using that, but you know what I'm saying? These are the reasons why people go. We made a decision at Direct and at No BS to not attend this VRMA Spring Forum this year based on previous results or lack thereof. For direct specifically, we haven't seen a return on investment at Spring Forum in 3 years. Okay.
How do you measure that though? So like so my question to you, like in that, for the sake of conversation, right? And for anyone who's listening to this that puts on conferences or is in that board, what is that metric to you? And how do you measure that for a
Great
company like
question.
yours?
I think that how I measure is I want to, if not I can come less than break even if I had some good conversations that are going to go ahead. But obviously, you want to come out in the black, not in the red from a show, right? And I give it a 6 months runway after a show to make
Mhm.
sure that I recoup it. That's how I look at it. And other companies will look at it a different way. But I understand I might have a conversation with somebody that is slightly interested, but it's the wrong season, it's the wrong time, they're in a contract. After the show, can conversations continue to happen? And can I go ahead and get it closed within 6 months? And that close, I look at, we work on subscription.
Mhm.
So they're theoretically a larger company is going to generate a decent annual subscription. If you can go ahead and close one or two truly you close one or two property managers at a show, you're going to hit ROI. If you don't, or if it's the same property managers, because they're all VRMA is a family. You got
Yeah.
the same people that will show up over and over, and they're steadfast in their ways. And it's fine. Nothing against VRMA. And this is not a bash of VRMA. And I want Drew Brown, current president, I'm
Right.
going to reach out to him to come on and talk to us about this
Yeah.
because I'm rooting for VRMA.
We
We are
we
attending
are.
international because I think international is still, you can win at international. It's still the show to go to. But I think this spring show, and I think they're trying, but there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle, and that are on top of my mind here too, as well.
I agree. I'd love to get Drew on. I think Drew's a great guy. I think, and I've always said this, the reason I participate with VRMA and the things that I've done, scale back a little, but I'm still involved and still believe in the organization is it's more like the potential, right? It's the potential of what it can become, right? And less of what it's been traditionally. I think that's the part that is going to determine its value moving forward, right? Enough people know about it, and the people who do know about it and research it, do they feel welcome to it? Do they see it as something that they can learn from, something that's a worthwhile investment from their side? You're talking about the vendor side. What about the manager side, right? Like,
100%.
why does a manager want to invest in going to VRMA, right? And you could give talking points about the education, the resources, and all that other stuff. But if that doesn't land, how do you get that to translate? Because the majority of the operators that I see in very local levels and that are decent, they'll hear a whiff of it, they'll think that they don't belong, or they don't even know about it at all. How do you change that narrative? And especially from the growth mindset, right? Like, I don't know, when I think about being exclusionary and saying, oh, we want only this and we're using this language, how do you court somebody who may not be there yet, right? Who's new to the business and wants to know how to grow their business, and that being able to reach out to them and pull them through with succession planning. Any business does that, right? Thinking about their consumers or their customers of tomorrow and how to make sure that they stay relevant enough to attract them and bring them into the fold. And
But
I think
these
that's a
property
challenge.
managers and these hosts, Mateo, are getting what they need
Yep.
from all these outlier, smaller conferences that have popped up in the past 3, 4 years. If we were to look back 5 years ago, there were 10, 12 shows a year. Now there's 30 or 40 just here in the United States of like little podcast shows, and they know that thanks for visiting and this
Yeah.
show and like STR Wealth and all these different shows that are, as a property manager or as a host, you're not going to every one. So
Right.
you're picking and choosing. And a lot of these are regional and they're more intimate and you feel a part of it. So how does a larger organization like VRMA pivot in a way that allows them to go ahead, and I don't want to compete's the wrong word, but get a decent amount of, make it worthwhile for everybody.
They gotta go small to get big. Seriously.
100%. And everything needs to, and it's
Gotta go
hard. And
small
this
to
is the
get
point I wanted
big.
to say. This is the point I wanted to make earlier. Think about Kansas City. the Kansas City. That was funny. The Kansas City show
Yeah.
was the last spring forum I went to, and it was crickets. There wasn't many people there. And from my understanding, it was a venue that was chosen for international that they had booked previous to COVID.
Right.
COVID happened. They had to keep the venue
Right.
and they put it at spring. And what does that mean for VRMA now? New Orleans is already booked.
Mhm.
Is next spring forum already booked? I don't know. Do they already know where next? Have they already a year? If I was VRMA, I'd pump the brakes hard. I'd be like, let's stop booking springs right now until we figure this out, realizing that it's going to take a year or two to go ahead and get it back going again, if that makes sense. But you can't just keep buying ahead and buying ahead. But I understand that's how you reserve venues.
So there's a question in that, right? We both been in the business long enough to see them change the format. Remember when they used to do East versus West? You'd have West Coast Forum, you'd have East Coast Forum. Do you think they need to change the format?
100%.
Format?
I think the format needs to change. They keep an international and they keep these connects that they have because these are regional, but
Are they well attended? I've only been on
some of them have, but again, part of it is, I think part of it is it's a money game. And if I look at it, playing VRMA needs to make money. It's an organization that is funded and that needs to make money. Now, all the cost to attend all of these has skyrocketed.
Mhm.
And so the vendors that are that have gotten a lot of, they're on F raise, E raise, whatever. They're 100 million here, 110 million here, 170 million here. These companies can afford to be at every single one of these. And they don't bat an eye at spending whatever they need to spend at it. Right now, VRMA Connect is bigger than it should be. I think it needs to be more intimate. I like the old road shows, that feel of going to a community with 3 or 4 or 5 vendors.
Yeah.
And everyone comes together and you're there at a community level. It's not a destination show. It's a community show. It's a regional show. People aren't traveling to the show unless they're like, oh, I really want to meet with somebody. We had that show that we put together in Atlanta that was well attended. We had 100 attendees to that show with 5 vendors,
Yep.
100 attendees.
Yep.
Some of them traveled a few hours to get there.
Yeah. There was no organization behind that. So I think that should be the message, right? Like when you have the infrastructure and the ability to do that, do you change the format, right? Should it be off season and on season, like do a summer season? So all of the winter markets can attend a summer season forum and do a summer market forum in the winter when the summer season markets can actually do it in that time. Is that more valuable? I feel like there needs to be creativity within that space because VRMA still leads the charge. They're still the largest. They're still the biggest. We believe in them. We need them 100%. So it's not knocking. It's not speaking disparagingly. It's speaking as people
I'm
in
rooting
the
for
game that
VRMA.
want to see these changes happen for the betterment of our industry, right? And for the betterment of everyone here. So vendors can get their value. So we can bring more managers and potential managers and people who are dipping their toe into this business can get the best resources because, right, we're all in this pool together. So what they do, we're all affected by, right? And that should be why the largest body should be leading the way in being as inclusive as, sorry for other people who don't like the words, but like being as inclusive as possible. Because it's a numbers, you said it, it's a numbers game. If you're here to make money, like and open it up, that's what you're gonna do. Getting more people into the fold.
If I was in charge, I would have way more smaller. And the last thing I want to, but before I get into that, I want to put a disclaimer out that I'm not saying this is easy or it will be easy.
If it was easy, we wouldn't be having these conversations.
This is like a very delicate process and it's going to take a few years to figure this out, but I think it can be figured out. And that's why we're talking about it. And it's almost like, all right, we have a spring and we have 3 or 4 connects, right? What if you had VRMA? There's a couple ways you can look at it. VRMA just does international, could be one. And they just make it the biggest, baddest show ever. They
Yeah.
put all their resources and all their time into one show a year, and that's their focus. And I think that's the way to go. Truly, if I think about it, because I think that all these other organizations that are also doing this that could do it, I won't say better, just different. And it's nice to go ahead and have a little bit of different feel. Northwest VRP is coming out. I guess they're no longer Northwest VRP, and they're going to have a national conference. So I don't know what that means too. And I don't know what I feel about that. I want to get Brian Olson and that crew on to talk about what that is once that's officially announced.
The reality is the metrics are going to matter, right? So there's limited shelf life at the end of the day for what people and where people are going to spend their money. And we see the patterns of people who are changing. We see the patterns of people's attitude shift and what they're looking at, right? In terms of bottom lines and effect for their business. And the value, which isn't always deals signed by the end of the conference, but it's what seeds were sowed, which relationships were built. There's what are the value that's coming out of this, where people are able to express their voice. Did they learn? Did they get something, or were they enriched in a way from both sides, from the vendor side and from the manager side? How was that value? Did you get a better understanding of the client? Did you get a better understanding of the industry? Did you actually hear from people who are in these trenches every day? When you're not getting that.
Yeah, it's not just vendor to PMC and PMC to vendor.
Right.
It's vendor to vendor and it's PMC to PMC.
True.
Right. If I was a property management company, I think the most value I'd get out of a show is networking with fellow property managers to go ahead and to bounce those ideas of, hey, this worked, this didn't work. Have you tried this? Oh, check this out. That's the value in these shows. And I heard at Spring, from 3 separate sources, and I'm not going to name them, it's a vendor fest. Unfortunately, again, it is, one person said, I think there are 75 PMCs here, as in people, not as in companies. So
again, we're not saying those are the numbers, but even if that's
this is all hearsay.
Even if that's the feeling and that's the exposure,
obviously we've been talking change for a while, and I want to shout out Tyann with Touch Stay, who's got this shit figured out, and I want to shout out Maddie from Mount. If you follow either of these women, they are going in the right direction with things. They are doing this right. And I would gladly get behind with both No BS and Direct, either one of those. I want to piggyback off of what they're doing or do something comparable, because I think they're going the right direction with this stuff.
I mean, then that's what happens when things get or have the perception or feel stifled. New innovation is going to happen. New people are stepping up. New things are going to happen. And we're seeing that, right? So I think it's exciting. It's people on there. You got to stay on your toes, man.
Yeah, 100%. And I have some great ideas. I definitely want to go ahead and chat with Drew. Drew, if you listen,
Drew, we love you, man.
Brother, we need to get you back on.
Yeah,
nothing but love for VRMA.
I think these are the conversations that have been happening in the background for a long time, and we wanted to just touch on it and give our opinions around it. Now, these are purely our opinions and from what we see. But again, we're a part of this industry. We want to see it succeed and are happy to do our part to help within that space. And we want to see our friends succeed. We don't relish in anybody not being successful within this space.
And I'm stoked for international. It's going to be a great show. It always is. I'm really excited for it.
And we're all excited to see what kind of crazy shit you're going to come up with this year.
And no boxing.
Not like MMA. Yeah, I was going to say, don't do MMA. Can we do
we're just going to do a tea party or something. Really, we're going to tone it down this year. Nice. I see that. So until next time, here's to conferences, here's to getting together, here's to networking, and here's to all of us figuring this out. The best way for property managers, hosts, and vendors alike moving forward.
Together.
And for those of you, and we're going to do more of these. We're going to do more, just Mateo and I would try to pepper one in, probably one out of every 4. We're going to try to do. We like these. Let us know your thoughts if you want to hear more, just me and Mateo. And if you don't want to hear more, just me and Mateo, we don't want to hear it. Keep it to yourself. And
be nice.
Be nice. And lastly, if you like what you hear or you like what you're watching, make sure you subscribe, you share. Give us a review on Spotify and on all your favorite podcast listening channels. Until next time.